Hello everybody and welcome to number 27. Can you believe what I've got for you today? This is a Ferrari Dino, but it is an absolutely unique Ferrari Dino. Probably controversial amongst some people. Immediately, a load of you will notice that it has 360 wheels and brakes, but there's much more to this car than just that. This actually has the engine from a Ferrari 328, so it's a flat crank V8. It has the 328 gearbox as well. The suspension arms have actually been strengthened. It's got modern conies on it. It has all sorts of little details that we will go through. It doesn't have to be that these sort of old cars all have to be restored to be completely original. I think there's definitely a place for doing resto mods and improving them. Now this car gets used the whole time. Kev has taken it to Europe on several trips and he's actually going to take it to the Dino reunion in Modena in a couple of months' time. So it was very important for him that it was drivable, and that is the ethos behind the whole project. One of the weak points of the original Dino, certainly in terms of power and tractability and ease of drive, was that old engine. This actually has throttle bodies from a Ferrari 355, electronic fuel injection, both designed to address one of the biggest problems with the Dino engine, which is the underdeveloped fueling system, whereby the fuel runs away from the main jets during cornering. This is because the carbs used were made for north-south orientated engine installations, such as the one on the Fiat Dino. Something else which has been done to make this more drivable is it's now got a hydraulic clutch, and I can confirm that it's no more difficult to use than any normal car. In the future, Kev wants to put a Mototeqnique system on this. As part of that development, the engine will also be bored and stroked to 3.6 litres. This will bring it up to about 410 horsepower, and it will also add fly-by-wire throttle. So this car actually belongs to and was built by Kev from Mototeqnique. Now a lot of people are really quite stuffy when it comes to touching a Ferrari, but personally I wouldn't agree. I think that something like this, you're really essentially improving the car. Now before you rush to judgment, you also have to realise that those wheels, which are probably the most controversial part, well, he's built another one for an American client, and he's essentially upscaled the standard design of that to a bigger wheel for those new cars, and I think that that works better. And he's looking for a way to fit those to his car as well. The Dino was named after Enzo's son, who tragically died young. He had a hand in developing the original 1.5 litre V6 engine, which was to be used in Formula 2. This eventually evolved in the 2 litre V6 in the 206 GT, the original Dino. That was an aluminium-bodied car launched in 1958. It widely lauded for its looks and its handling, but maybe criticised for not being quite fast enough for a Ferrari. Therefore, a year later, the engine was brought up to 2.4 litres and the 246 GT was launched. The 2.4 litre engine produced a declared, and I think rather optimistic, 195 horsepower. Okay, so what is it like to drive? engine just behind your ears, just, oh, it sounds so angry. Totally different, the flat plane V8 to the normal sort of American type of V8s that you hear. It doesn't sound anything like it. Immediately brings you back to Le Mans and all that kind of stuff. Oh, that is fantastic. So the driving position is quite odd by modern standards, so you're sort of quite laid back. There's not much room on top. The wheel is quite canted forward. It's a lovely sort of thin rim there that gives you loads of feel. The gear change takes some getting used to as well. Both the engine and the gear change are from a Ferrari 328, albeit the engine obviously has, well not obviously, but it has throttle bodies from a 355 and electronic injection. But so the gearbox it's slow and quite notchy. You have to be quite determined with it. It's satisfying to use, but it's not easy. The clutch is fairly light. I know these are normally quite heavy and quite difficult to use, but this is fine. The brakes actually do require quite a firm shove. Now this has this roll cage which has been integrated into the dash. Oruk trimmers, who are the best in the business when it comes to Ferraris, did the interior on this and it looks fantastic. Now I haven't driven a normal Dino, so I can't really comment on how this compares. I'm sure it's a lot easier to drive, although you can't just get in and drive this either. The way the engine is so tractable with modern brakes as well, I'm sure it's going to be a lot easier to drive this than the original version. Power-wise, it's really quite linear, but it does seem to sort of pick up, particularly around 4,000, and then it just sort of keeps pulling, really. Now the fact that it's got the integrated roll cage means that they've been able to set up the suspension properly. The wishbones have actually been braced to give them more stiffness. It's got some modern Coney dampers on it. You have to be quite deliberate with your inputs. I think that's one of the biggest changes that you will notice with anything more modern. Obviously this has been upgraded, but all the same, the throttle takes a bit of getting used to, like with any old car, but with the fly-by-wire arrangement with the Mototeqnique that's going to be installed, that will be improved too. I've been in the car about 20 minutes now and I'm getting more comfortable with it. And I'm really starting to enjoy it. Not that I didn't enjoy it before, but obviously I was a little bit apprehensive to begin with. Just picture myself south of France, Nice, on the Riviera. You know, it's not slow. Now it probably weighs about, I don't know, what is it, 1,050 kilos, something like that, maybe less, 300 horsepower. So it really does go. It can be revved, but you don't really need to. It seems like there's plenty of poke in the mid-range. Obviously, doing something like this to a Ferrari is contentious. I absolutely do not have a problem with it. I think it's absolutely fine, especially the way this has been done. And I mean, they haven't shoved an American V8 in it or anything like that. It's been done with sympathy and they have essentially just improved the car. But I think it will divide opinion. If you picture it as well with the original design wheels, but in bigger diameter, I think it's absolutely fine. I love this color as well. It's a really special, unique color, which Kev has sorted out. I think it's great. It's so enjoyable to drive something that actually needs to be driven, as opposed to like a PlayStation car, which is what most of the modern stuff is like. You know, it requires effort to drive, but then it gives you back that satisfaction that you get from driving something like this that you just won't get from a modern. If I was going to get one like this, I think I would have mine in a deep sort of moon black with the sort of updated old style but slightly bigger wheels. Thank you all so much for watching, really appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't, and see you for the next video.